Inuyasha began to wake up to the sounds of voices around him. One of them sounded like it belonged to a small boy, and the other two sounded like two young women arguing. "What do you think he wants?" the boy's voice questioned. "I keep telling you, he's after the sun relic, and I stand by it," one woman's voice stated. "Sango, please, let's hear what he has to say before we jump to too many conclusions," the second female's voice stated calmly. The sound of the soft voice made Inuyasha's eyes flutter open. He then saw he was inside a room, lying on a futon. In front of him was a small kitsune boy with red hair and a ponytail, a Shinekomanta cat, and a woman with brown hair and a long, low ponytail wearing a pink kimono and a green skirt. In her lap was a large boomerang bone, and finally Inuyasha saw the beautiful woman with raven hair staring at him with a concerned expression. "Where am I?" Inuyasha groaned as he sat up. "Here, have something to eat. I bet you're hungry," the raven-haired girl said, placing a tray of rice balls and fried fish into Inuyasha's lap, and then poured some herbal tea into a small cup. Inuyasha didn't waste any time shoving the food into his mouth and gulping down the warm tea. How long has it been since you've last eaten?" Kagome questioned gently. 5 days, Inuyasha admitted as he then went back to devouring the food. After the half-demon was finished eating, he put a hand on his head to check for the damage he had felt before passing out earlier, only to feel there was no pain when he checked, and found nothing with his hand. "That's weird. Wasn't I hit on the back of the head with something?" the half-demon questioned. "You were. Please accept my apologies for that. Sango is very overprotective of me," Kagome said apologetically, bowing her head to Inuyasha. "He was spying on you and about to attack. I had every right to do what I did," Sango said defensively. "What Sango means to say is, she's very sorry," Kagome said as she sternly looked at the demon slayer, scowling at her. "Well, what is your name, traveler?" she then asked, turning to Inuyasha, who couldn't help but stare at the lovely Miko before him, who spoke in such a heavenly voice. I'm Inuyasha, the second son of the great dog demon Toga," he said after a pause. "I see. Why have you come to these parts, Inuyasha? There's not much out here," Kagome said cautiously. "You really want to know?" asked the half-demon as he reached for Tetsaiga on his side, only to find out that it was not with him. "Where's my sword?" he barked. "Right here," Shippo said from across the room, holding up the sheathed sword in his small hands. "Give it back!" Inuyasha yelled as he tried to run over to Shippo, only for Kilala and Sango to block his path. "Everyone calm down," Kagome demanded, standing between the half-demon and her friends. Well, give your sword back if you tell us why you are here," Kagome promised, turning to Inuyasha, who saw the sun necklace around her neck. But as he carefully tried to steal it, Kagome zapped him with her hand, using her spiritual powers, knocking the dog man to the ground. "Give me the sun relic," he demanded, standing up, only for Sango and Kilala to block his way, ready to put up a fight to protect Kagome as Kilala transformed. "I knew you were trouble," Sango spat. "Let's get him, Kilala," she stated as she and the Neko were about to attack the dog man. "Stop!" Kagome yelled at the top of her lungs, making everyone in the room pause and turn to her. "Someone makes one wrong move and suddenly all of you are acting like wild animals. So everyone here is going to sit down and talk about what needs to be done before anything else happens. Is that clear?" Kagome questioned in a demanding tone, her face reddening with anger. Sango sighed and put her weapon back on her back. "Consider yourself lucky," she snapped at Inuyasha, as Kilala transformed back into her smaller self and hopped onto the demon slayer's shoulder. "Lord Inuyasha, why do you require the sun relic?" Kagome questioned. "Kagome!" Sango exclaimed, only for the Miko to hold up her hand, silently telling the demon slayer to keep quiet. "Kagome is Kagome, so that's her name," Inuyasha thought to himself blissfully as he then answered the Miko's question. "I needed to heal my mother," the half-demon trailed off. "What's wrong with your mother?" Kagome questioned. "She's deathly ill, and she's the only person in this world who cares about me. I need the power of the sun relic to heal her, so give it to me," Inuyasha demanded. Kagome then looked into Inuyasha's eyes and saw nothing but desperation and fear for his mother. "Sango, Kilala, I'd like a private word with you both. I need you to keep an eye on Lord Inuyasha." the Miko requested as she, Sango, and Kilala went into the next room, closing the sliding door in their wake, leaving Shippo with INUYASHA. "All right, you dog, don't start any trouble and there won't be any trouble," the little fox said in a tough tone, only to have INUYASHA slug him on the head, knocking the little fox kid out. "All right, what are they planning?" the half-demon asked himself as he put his dog ear up to the sliding door to listen to the conversation happening on the other side. "I want to help him," he heard Kagome say insistently. "Out of the question," Sango exclaimed as Kilala meowed in agreement. "I feel like he's telling the truth," Kagome stated. "Plus, I haven't left this place since the night of my 6th birthday. For 12 years this has gone on. I'll be 18 in 2 days. The only thing I want is to help this man's poor sick mother. That's what the relic's powers are for, bringing healing, life, and happiness." "Please, Sango," the Miko begged. INUYASHA's eyes widened at Kagome's words. "She's been here for 12 years without ever leaving?" he thought to himself. "That makes me almost feel sorry for her. Almost." That's when the sliding door opened, making INUYASHA fall before Kagome's feet. "Lord INUYASHA, we've made a decision that you will lead me, Sango, Kilala, and Shippo to your ill mother. We will use the sun relic to heal her, since we know how it works. In return, you will lead us back home safe and sound, and after that you will leave and never speak of us or the sun relic again. That's the deal. Take it or leave it," Kagome stated firmly as she was standing up straight. INUYASHA started, but Kagome cut him off. "However, if you do anything funny, I won't stop Sango and Kilala from kicking your ass. Are we clear?" the Miko asked coldly. INUYASHA frowned. "Deal," he stated as he held out his hand to shake Kagome's. "Her hand is so small and soft," the half-demon trailed off in thought. "Wait outside of the temple with Kilala. Me and Sango have to gather a few things for the journey. We will be there shortly," Kagome said as she let go of INUYASHA's hand and brushed past him, with Sango following close behind her as she picked up an unconscious Shippo and walked into a different room of the temple. "Kagome, I don't like that guy," Shippo said as he had woken up. After he had woken up, Kagome and Sango were gathering supplies for the trip they were about to take. "I know you don't, but keep in mind he's worried for his mother. That's why we're doing this. Plus, I'll get to see the outside world for the first time in years," Kagome proclaimed. "I agree with Shippo," Sango trailed off as she came into the room wearing her pink and black Demon Slayer uniform, with her hair in a high ponytail and her boomerang bun on her back. "This could be a trap," she said. "Which is why you and Kilala will be by my side during this trip," Kagome said as she took out her bright red bow and placed it in a wooden quiver of arrows on her back, along with her mandolin. "I'm ready," the Miko stated as she took a deep breath and walked outside where INUYASHA and a large Kilala were waiting. "Here's your sword," Shippo said sternly, handing the Tetsaiga back to the half-demon, who snatched it back. "Let's go," INUYASHA snapped as he began to walk towards the cave where he had entered the rock pit, with Kagome, Sango, Kilala, and Shippo following close behind. "INUYASHA, you've returned at last," Moroku exclaimed when he saw his friend/master come out of the cave. But he raised an eyebrow when he saw the 4 new traveling companions behind the half-demon, though his eyes were specifically on Sango and Kagome. "And who might these 2 lovely young ladies be?" Moroku questioned smoothly as he gave a charming smile to the 2 women, making Sango roll her eyes and Kagome give him a confused look. "They have the sun relic, and they're coming with us to heal my mother. And then—" "Hey!" INUYASHA shouted as he noticed Moroku had gone over to Kagome and was now holding her hands in his own. "My lovely maiden, what's your name?" Moroku asked smoothly. Kagome," the Miko answered cautiously. "What a beautiful name. Lady Kagome, would you consider bearing my children?" the monk asked innocently, making Sango gasp and take out her raikotes, only for INUYASHA to beat her to the punch by slugging Moroku on the head. "She's not interested in your bullshit, Moroku," the half-demon growled as he stood between Moroku and an embarrassed Kagome. Sango squinted at the scene before her. Did he just protect Kagome? She wondered to herself. The Demon Slayer was in so much shock that she didn't notice Moroku coming up to her. "My, I must say, you're a very interesting young woman. There aren't many female fighters. What's your name, fair maiden?" the monk asked, holding Sango's free hand in his own. What's it to you? The demon slayer asked suspiciously, raising one of her eyebrows, her grip tightening on her weapon. Why, I simply must know the name of the most beautiful woman in the world, Moroku replied flirtatiously as his hand moved to Sango's bottom. You lecher! Sango shouted, slapping Moroku's cheek, leaving a handprint before she could use her boomerang bone. But before she could use her boomerang bone, Kagome cleared her throat. Ahem. Sango, we need to get a move on. This is not the time to be playing around and beating up a lecherous monk. There will be plenty of time to do that on the way to Inuyasha's mother, Kagome said as she scowled at Moroku, who grinned sheepishly. I agree. Let's go. Inuyasha barked as he began to head west, with everyone else following close behind. Shippo sighed as he rode on Kilala's back. It's going to be a long journey. He trailed off as Kilala nodded in agreement.